What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of The Mix. I'm your host, Anniekay Anderson, and today we are joined by a very, very, very special guest. He's a pioneer for streetwear fashion right now, and one of Atlanta's best creatives, I would say. We got RGB Twon in the building.
What's good, y'all? AKA Blonde Shag.
AKA Blonde Shag. We got 'em both in here. So, how are you doing today?
Man, I can't complain, man. It's Monday, right? You know,
It's
one
Monday.
of those, just one of those days, type vibe. But good day for me. I'm happy to be here. I'm glad we finally got to sit down.
Definitely. Yeah. I wanted to talk about how you've been working out lately. You've been on your health grind.
Right.
So and you're vegan, right?
I wish I could be fully vegan. Like, the only thing that really messes me up is tacos and pizza. So
Okay.
I can't cut out cheese and ice cream. But other than that, I don't eat any meat at all.
So no fish
Yeah.
either?
No fish, no nothing. That kind of started with maybe what we're going on 4 years now. I had a burger from Wendy's, and this is no diss to Wendy's or nothing like that, but it was a Saturday. I never forget it. I had I think I might have had a 4 for $4 or something like that, and I bit into it and I ate it, and something just wasn't right, and I immediately got sick, and then I didn't eat anything the next day, and then immediately I said, you know what,
You gotta cut
this ain't
this
for
out.
me, and I just went cold turkey, nothing at
that.
all, and then it started turning into a discipline thing for me, because one thing I realized as I get older, and just as even when you're younger, is discipline is everything.
It's so
Sometimes
important,
it's
yeah.
that's what kind of keeps the mind less idle than it should be, I feel and so just keeping that discipline of saying no, I'm not doing that. Then it turned into I kind of want to have this certain spirit of, man, I anything that you had to quote unquote kill, I don't want it in my body.
Okay,
I want to have the light on me, you know what I'm saying, when I
Yeah.
come in the building. So it's that's what it started turning into now, and it's my family wants me to start back every day, and I'm no, they keep putting stuff in it that I'm nah,
They
I'm
bring
good.
you a plate
Yeah,
of
it's
ribs or
it's
something?
Nah, I'm good. Yeah, which
Damn.
that's the thing about it too. Just even speaking on food like that. I kind of cut out pork years ago before I even stopped eating meat. But back in the day, a lot of people do, and a lot of people don't know. My grandfather, may rest his soul, he had a famous barbecue restaurant on the west side of Atlanta called Anderson's Barbecue, and that was actually Chili from TLC's first job ever. So before
Wow.
my family
That's
got
history in the
real,
family.
I got real history in my family. So it's growing up, seeing those type of not only I remember when Usher came to my this is maybe what's that album, 8701 or something like that,
I'm not
around that
sure.
area where he doing the chain going, around type vibe, when he was dating Chili, I remember.
Oh, he pulled up to
Yeah,
the
he
restaurant.
pulled up in the Hummer. This one Hummers was
Yeah.
super lit in the city, and so it's just having those type of stories. I've always kind of been around, quote unquote, the who's who, that
Yeah.
every time I look back at that, and just even this is my journey that I'm going on right now, I realize that it's such a purpose
Yeah,
that
you were,
what I'm
destined for
doing, that is okay, those be my extra motivations that keep me
Yeah.
going, that okay, we got a job to do.
Definitely. Yeah, that's amazing. You really are destined for
Yeah,
it.
thank you. I
Culture
appreciate
was in you
that.
before you
Yeah, right,
even
right, exactly.
came
No,
in.
it's so many stories I could tell y'all that we'll be here all day, for real, but
Well, let's get into
Yeah.
Blonde Shag, because
Right.
you pulled up as Blonde Shag today.
Exactly.
And I want the people to know that my first time meeting RGB Twon,
Yes.
he was Blonde Shag.
Exactly.
So, and I know in the entertainment industry, in music in particular,
Mm-hmm.
alter egos or another person is kind of
Exactly.
important, I guess, or it kind of brings another side out of the
Right.
artist. So, what prompted you to kind of create this character?
So it's amazing how God works, right? So last year around this same time which is crazy. We're kind of on the anniversary of me even creating Blind Shag, right?
Yep.
I unfortunately lost my grandfather, my other grandfather, which we're talking about two of the dopest men that ever could walk this earth. And losing him, and it Blind Shag actually was a therapy thing for me. It was like, I don't want to be RGB Twon. Like
Yeah.
everybody, they want clothes, they want hats. And it's like, no, I appreciate everybody. It's just, when you're going through grief, you kind of just really don't want to talk to nobody.
That's
And
real.
so I kind of created Blind Shag not only to just be this like unorthodox time traveler from the 70s, 80s era that, you're just like, who the heck is this guy? But at the same time, I was able to mask those feelings,
Pain.
that pain or whatnot. I was able to be like, man, okay, this attention is something that I can get distracted on, and I don't have to really, deal with it. Which, and I advise, or I just tell anybody, if you are going through grief, for one, you definitely got to get it out because
Yeah.
yes, it was like a blessing to create this, to do that, but at the same time, as human beings, if we don't let it out,
You won't able to
it'll
move
never,
past it.
yeah. And it's like, not that I'm ever trying to get past that. It's just more so, I know, like I said, my purpose of, man, just that mental health can really just put a burner on not only business, but just your personal life.
Yeah.
And so creating Blind Shag, like around the time when I got the idea for, I was listening to a lot of David Bowie, and if you're familiar with David Bowie, he had an alter ego called something Zane. I'm having a brain fart right now, but he created. If you ever see him in that iconic orange wig with the like lightning bolt going down his face, that was his alter ego of. He felt like it was somebody who came from Mars in year 3000 or something like that, and
like that.
and so it's like that was like one of his many alter egos. And so just seeing that, my whole career has just been about pushing the boundaries. So
Yeah.
it's like, even like you said, when you met me in Blind Shag, I was going to like we was going to like a prom vibe, and I felt like, oh, that's perfect. Like
Yeah.
Blind Shag is stuck in this 70s show type
Oh,
vibe
yeah.
that was like, oh, this is a perfect time I can put my wedding singer shirt on, and we might go varsity jacket like I'm the team captain, and just mix it up with the Adidas type vibe, and
Yeah.
and that's just how my brain works. Like I'm super, like I watch a lot. Like I don't watch too much TV, but I'm like a big movie fanatic, series type vibe, because those are how I come up with these, or just really that inspiration of just these different lanes I can go into. And I just wanted to pull off some like, man, just being a straight man in a wig, and it's like, man, I'm still like, your girl might try to come holler at me type vibe, you know what I'm saying? It's
Absolutely.
like, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I one thing I always like to just tell to my fellow brethren is like, man, I don't really sell hats. I sell confidence. Like, I remember like when in the beginnings, like I used to have some of the most hooded street dudes in the pink trucker hat, and it's like, you can't tell me nothing at
Yeah.
that point. And it's like, it ain't, the color don't mean nothing. Like we got to kind of get past all this pause crap, and it's like, just understand, just wear what you want to wear. Like,
Definitely.
like I don't think an article of clothing should have a certain boundary. And I mean, now don't get me wrong, and this is no disrespect to nobody. I'm not saying I could pull off a dress. I've done a kilt long time ago. This Ye era when he doing it with the Yeezys. Like I'm finna pull one out too. I remember I worked at Cole Haan, and I did it with the loafers on some like, some player vibes, like with a hoodie, and like I was able to pull it off. And so I'm just a I love a challenge. Like
Yeah.
that's just been my whole journey of my career of like, how can I challenge myself to not only yesterday but to tomorrow as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I could
If I
definitely.
answered your question, and oh wait,
You
no,
definitely
no,
did.
right, I answered it, but then just a full circle. Right now, when creating Blind Shag, right? Shout out to my brother Saha the Prince. If you guys know him, he's a legendary rapper, writer. He's like a big brother to me, and he's currently finishing up his album. We just shot 24 videos in LA for the album, so I can't wait to do that. And I did that all in Blind Shag because we kind of created this. You know, if you guys are familiar with Miami Vice, like his album is inspired by Philip Michael Thomas, who coined the word EGOT, which is Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony. So
Yeah.
we when he saw me do this, and he kind of was already working on something, he was like, "Bro, let's just it's power in numbers," and that's
Yeah.
something we've always understood. That's why. We've done so many endless collaborations, and I have to always appreciate him for just letting me be a tag along fly in the room, and I've been around Ye 10 plus years, and just to say I get to come from that school of Donda of like I paid attention to like a lot of people be like, man, how do you do this? Like, man, I just pay attention. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people, the opportunity that I got, not only would you have given up a long time ago, but you would have been like, yeah, I don't like how somebody might have said something to me, and it's like, yeah, in this business you have to have a lot of tough skin.
Can't take everything
Yeah, you
personal.
can't take nothing personal. Nothing personal is
I'm
always
learning that.
business. Like watch New Jack City if you've never seen it. Okay, it's one of the best movies in the world. Okay, shout out to Wesley Snipes. But Blind Shag was like I'm fearless regardless, but this is my fearless mode. This is Super Saiyan 3. This is, hey, get the fuck out of my, excuse me, get out of my way. Excuse me. Put the blooper on that, all right? I don't know if this is PG-13 or
You
what.
good. You good.
But yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell of how I created him, who he is, and what he's getting ready to kind of pop out. So
I know,
yeah,
next year we gonna be seeing a lot
I'm
more.
glad you got to capture this because this, I believe, once all that comes out, not only is it gonna do numbers off of when you first put this off, but the rerun when they come be like, hey, it's Blind Shack interview. Yeah, they gonna blow it up. Trust me,
here,
watch,
I'm here.
watch. Especially just after the knowledge that we spit on this one, so don't even worry about it.
Sure. So let's get into your roots.
Okay.
You are an Atlanta native,
Yes, yes,
from
born
the
and
West
raised.
Side, correct?
Yes. So I spent most of my time on the west side of my grandma's house. Like, we always, most black families, you come from that, like, you love your grandma to death. Like, we love Mondoos too, but grandma just,
She don't want.
I'm such a, one thing about me, I'm such an old soul that I've always just gravitated to just that older generation. Like,
Yeah.
I've always paid attention to the lessons, like, one thing we talked about is when you even approached me about this, like, especially when we just started, and you was like, would you do a podcast? If I did do a podcast, I want to do a podcast on like, just the lessons that like my grandfather taught me. Like, most men don't know how to change a tire. Most men don't know how to tie a tie, which is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, what interviews have you been on? You know what I'm saying? So it's like those lessons of like just putting my bros on game, because it's like we'll be out in this world so misguided. And it's like, if nobody's gonna be the one to step up to the plate, like I'll take the bullets. Like
Yeah.
I've been doing that my whole career. Like, if the doors that I've pushed, like kicked down to really, if you think about all the people that have started a truck or hat business, like, kudos to you. But if you only knew what I had to do to get this to what this is, like, like I said, you would have given up a long time ago. So
It takes a lot of
it,
perseverance.
it really takes a lot of like telling yourself, hey man, I don't care what we doing, but this goal is getting accomplished.
Yeah.
Like it's just we got to make this happen, and like Nip said, it's like it's a marathon. So it's like it keeps going.
Truly.
And like you said, just my roots from Atlanta, like born and raised like on the west side, and then like I went to school on the south side. So it's like I have to appreciate my mom for kind of like all my family went to Doug High School, and I wanted to go there so bad because it's like, man, I want to go with the family, but my mom was like, nah, you finna get in some trouble. Let's put you in a little mixed crowd or something like that. And I appreciate that now because I think had I not I don't know, I've always been like the golden child of my family, but I think had I not had those different mixtures of ethnicities, that I wouldn't be as comfortable in who I am right now.
Yeah.
Like this comes from, you know, quote unquote, other cultures wanting to be like us. So sure, I'm gonna be like y'all.
Definitely.
I know who I am still underneath this, but at the same time, I'm gonna bite y'all swag. You know what I'm saying? I'm going Ted Bundy, like, you know what I'm saying, vibe, like, yeah. As for the Wolfman, yeah. If you really from Atlanta, you know what that commercial about. But yeah, type vibe.
Yeah. But okay, growing up in Atlanta and
Right.
stuff, how did that kind of influence your brand or like start it up?
Man, kid you not, Atlanta is everything to me. There's no place like Atlanta. I don't care what it is. I done been a lot of places in the world, and like, don't get me wrong, New York is like my second home. I always feel like in my past life I was from Harlem, because when I was on 125th, it just gave me like Atlanta vibes. Like, I don't know why. It's just the people. It's some in the area, like they have like a certain southern hospitality. I don't know, it's so crazy, but Atlanta is everything. Like, kid you not, and I've kind of said this story before, is like how this hat became such a popularity. Like, growing up on the west side, like my grandmother stayed like right, but like maybe like 3 blocks or 3 streets away from like where Blue Flame is. And if you know where Blue Flame Strip Club is, it's a lot of truck stops, and 18 was the petrol gas station over there, right? So growing up, I seen like 18 wheelers and trucks all my life. So like I said, kind of how we said off camera earlier, like I'm super inspired by uniforms. So this hat was really inspired by something. It was supposed to be like on, Goodwills or something that are super popular, and thrifting is something that I think will never die.
Never.
Thrifting has just been, before there was resale, there was thrifting, like, and resale was just like the fancy way to put it on it, right?
It literally
and
is.
the cap on it, right? but this hat was supposed to be like that Goodwill find that you found for $3, and now it's like your favorite trucker hat, but it from like this uniform from this trucking company from 1976 or something like that. So it's like, when I got the opportunity, like, this is like COVID area, and like right when, Atlanta was never really closed, no disrespect to anybody, but
They didn't.
that's just that, like I said, there's no
Yeah.
place like this, right?
Literally.
So there's no place like this. Everybody else is like restricted, about to go to
Yeah.
jail if you go outside type vibe. We is outside, right?
Us
So
is at Magic
it's
City.
like it's right, exactly, right. So when I got the opportunity, shout out Wish ATL, they had they had this pop up with Sprite, and they gave me an opportunity to just. Not only they funded the collection, but just Wish has been a staple in it. Little 5 points. I always say that's our Soho, like,
Yeah.
or it could be if we really got some dope spots there. Like, Wish is the only place, like a Junkman's Daughter and like a Ragaramen and
Yeah, I
stuff
was
like
gonna say,
that.
there's a
And
Ragaramen
Clothing
there.
Warehouse, like those are the real staples, but it could really be like the village type vibes
Yeah,
if
I
we really just beefed it up and made I guess some more opportunities for like the local artists like
agree.
that's the one place where I feel like if I would do a shop, I feel like I would want to be there because you see a lot of dope swag out there. Like
Yeah.
that's really you could really soak up some dope game
And it's historic to the
yeah,
city too.
yeah, and
That's
people don't understand. Yeah, like that's the method to my madness. Like I people watch. I either I might have to sit in the mall and just be like, what are people wearing? Like
Yeah.
what are people buying? Like because that's the only way. People don't understand. Like if you don't do research on your customer, how do you know what to sell?
That's true.
You can't keep. We got to stop trying to just copy other brands and thinking, oh, if it worked with them, it's gonna work for me. Nah, that's not your customer. Your customer don't know you for that.
Yeah.
They might have known, oh, this looks similar to something else I've seen. But at the end of the day, you want to create your like. I always give this analogy. Ralph Lauren sell them same 7-color polos in Macy's every year for $98. Ain't changed yet. So it's like it's about creating a brand. It's about creating longevity. It's about making sure that your customer knows what to expect when they come see you. So like Atlanta, that's the root of it all. Like a lot of my like ready to wear like that was sold in the Webster. Like I think I might have been the only brand that put "Made in Atlanta" in their tags, just because that's how really.
I like that.
That's how
Just see made
much
in
I take.
China.
Yeah, like because
Made
the
in
thing a lot of people
China.
don't know like so the tag. The last finished place is where technically the date of origin. That's why Louis Vuitton gets to say made in Paris because a lot of people don't know the leather's made in Texas. It's made in the U.S. But that gold hardware, that the factory that makes that last finishing, that's why it's get to put made in Paris, Paris, France. So it's like if you don't know that, like that's why I actually went to school. I have a degree in fashion design, so it's like I didn't start this brand just thinking, oh yeah, we're finna just make truck hats. No, I really understood not only branding, but I advise anybody who wants to start something like accessory is always gonna be your best bet because you don't have to worry about a size. We ain't got to worry about if I need 30 smalls and 20 mediums. Sometimes we ain't got time for that. Or you know, when you're really trying to bet on yourself, you got to really like strategically figure out, okay, how we gonna make this money back?
Gotta take
Because
risks.
fashion, like a lot of people don't understand this. It costs.
Yeah.
It costs a lot of money, not only to make stuff, but it costs a lot of money to get it right. That's the thing. That's the thing that people don't understand. Is like this. It took 10 years to really figure out. Because this is my second brand. I had a first brand before that called Antique Society that I was named in creative loafing. I had 2 Chainz, Travis Scott, Trinidad James, Tiana Taylor, like all the dope who's before, like in 2013, 2014 era. So I already understood how you had to do this, but that brand was so avant-garde and it was like such a niche brand that I'm like, this might not last forever like how I want my name to last forever. And so it was like, you know, I used to work at the Gap, so I learned a lot with them. Like that's literally how I came up with the name of my brand, ROYGBIV, because when they, like your first week of training, they tell you got to set the polos up in ROYGBIV. And when they said that, I was like, what's that? They was like, you know, ROYGBIV, like, we hear that in school, but when you have those brain download click moments where you're like, wait, I heard this before. What's that?
Yeah.
And so when they said it was like, you know, red, orange, yellow, I said, And so all the dots started connecting. I was like, well, I did get best dressed in high school. People always love how I put colors together. Oh, this is the new brand right here.
That's a flex.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like that was how not only I conjured up the idea for this brand, but it came from a real spirit where I'm able to tell the story to you like this and you get to really understand, like, oh, okay, he ain't just come up with no name.
No, yeah. And ROYGBIV is it. When you look at it, they're like people. I can see people being like,
Yeah.
it's simple, but it's like
It still gives
it's
you like,
complex at the
I don't
same
really know
time.
how to say it, like, especially if your first introduction to that word, you're like, is this like Russian or like
Yeah.
like what
Yeah.
like, and so that was the beauty of it, is like one thing I've always learned, and I learned this in school too, like any brand that you kind of got to like look up how to say it, like think about Louis Vuitton, like
Fancy.
Lanvin, like
Yeah.
Prada, like what's another one, like people,
Margiela.
yeah, Margiela, like even Adidas. People say Adidas is Adidas. Like it's like those key things of like it's all about the look, the sound. It's like it's really playing off the senses of like you got to figure out what is this.
Yeah.
So those are some. I'm giving y'all some real good game today. Like please take notes, and that's why once again I even before you ask me another question, I want to appreciate you just in the middle of this, just say like thank you for
Of course.
sparking this idea, because that's my new thing. I always get DMs all the time of like, how do you do this, and how do you do it, and it's like that's so selfish of only just answering to you. Like let's create stuff that can live on a certain platform forever, to where it's like I'm all about being that monolith of like, dang, like I always have this dream of like I want that. I want this like 15-year-old to like be studying me or something like that, and then when he get like 18, he's now the creative director of Saint Laurent. He's like, yo, I studied all your videos, and now because I followed you, like I was able to do this. Is like that's when I feel accomplished. Like I don't care. I've been around money all my life to where I know what it does to people. I know how it can affect people. I know how it can make people treat you to the point where that ain't my motive no more.
Yeah.
It's like there's only so much that I could buy that makes me feel a certain type of way. Of course, buying things for others, but I'm kind of past that now. It's like, how do I truly use my story to change lives and not just hats?
Right. And it's building community too.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really what I'm on now. It's like, where's my community? Where's my tribe? Where's my people who are ready to kick down some doors for not only fashion, but just for your dreams?
Yeah.
Like, I want to be able to create the next Memphis group where they coming through us to where, man, we gotta come holler at the Avengers of Atlanta to like.
I like that.
You know what I'm saying? Get our studio together, get our house together, get our album together. Anything like we're just the overall creative house that we are. That algorithm, that signature stitch that you finna have the best vibes ever.
For sure. Let's talk about the origin of RGB more specific, because you just talked about it briefly, but more so, how did you promote your brand in the beginning stages?
So, for the most part, like, definitely before Instagram became what it is now, as far as like just the algorithm and stuff like that, like when you really was on some live feed vibes, like I was truly consistent in trying to make a not only like a schedule of drops, like, and the drops would be limited. Like I'm a numbers guy, so I played off like I might only do 7, or I might only do 3 of these, just to not only create that exclusivity. And I think exclusivity is what has been the thesis of my brand, because a lot of people don't know, like, for the longest, and not even for the longest, still to this day, unless the hats are in stores, most hats were one of one. And I always had this thing, I never wanted the Spider-Man meme where it's like, oh, we all got the same hat. Like I want this to be like some Pokemon card vibes, where it's like, dang, where you get this one from? Oh, I got this one in Houston right here. Dang, I got mine in Atlanta. Like, and once again, it's creating a community of conversation, because kid you not, like my last pop up I did. I had a customer that came to me and he came and shot me. He was like, "Man, the reason why I know about your hat is because I seen a guy in New York." Because he was all the way from New York and he just so happened to be in Atlanta for his birthday. And so he's like, "I seen a guy with this hat," and he was like, "Where'd you get this from?" And then they became best bud. And it's like, I'm like, that's what I like. That's what I want. Like, I want to connect the dots to people. I want everybody to understand that, like, no matter what skin color you are, like, we all the same.
Facts.
Like, period. And so it's like, in the beginning stages, not only creating that, but then like even before the hats, like I started off with footwear. Like I said, during that COVID era, like when you had like a even before like a Cool Kicks kind of like was who they are, and shout out to Cool Kicks. This is no shade to them. Like I was taking that Jordan silhouette because, you know, as us black kids, like Michael Jordan has always been our hero. So like the Jordan 1, I realized, okay, this was a popular silhouette. So I did that research. I did find that Alibaba like manufacturer and was like, okay, let me get that silhouette, and creating that sneaker. I started getting a little buzz to where it was like, oh, I want one of those. I want one of those. And then I had to realize, like, okay, these sneakers kind of getting expensive. Like, I either need like some type of funding or capital to, or anything just to like kind of, like we kind of was, you know, a lot of people understand when you first start in a business, you're not really going to see the real money till
that instant
couple years. That instant gratification, like they can sell it to you all they want to on Instagram, but I promise you, the dark days is in the first 2 years. Trust me, okay? So, in really trying to figure out my method of how I wanted to do this, that's what, like I said, led me to that pop-up. And when I did that pop-up with Wish, that's when I really dialed in and said, okay, let's make this all about Atlanta. Okay, boom. Got the trucker vibe based off the 18-wheeler. Boom, I did a ringer tee that I was like, oh, nobody's really doing ringer t-shirts. Like, that's kind of like a 70s retro vibe. So I did that with the trucking company logo on that. Then, boom, of course, you know, we're known for Freaknik, right? So I remixed some, like, Freaknik artwork and put it on a hoodie. So, and that was, like, dope, too. And then, like, did, like, some other, like, which I did a special, I did bring the shoes back for Wish, did a special color that you could only get at Wish, did some socks and a fanny pack. Like, this is when like fanny packs was like kind of like a vibe, and even then that fanny pack was like a X-ray of like a pencil, like a dope vibe, and then it had like the logo on it. And then I set up the whole pop-up like it was like my actual laboratory, and like even to like the shoebox was like this iridescent, translucent, clear box, and then I put that inside of a ice cube box an ice cube bag where, like, you know how like the bag of ice comes in. So like if you can kind of picture that, it's like it's almost like the shoes are frozen, and so using that, that's why to this day if you receive a hat, like the hat still come in that ice bag because it's like a nostalgic of where it all came from. Like I've tried other bags, but I love just that storytelling of, like, you know, just like you getting the hat and it's like, why is this in there? And it's like, now when somebody sees this interview, they're gonna be like, oh, like now I see. Now it's like, man, I collect all my hats are in the bag type vibe. It's like I keep it on ice, like, you know, it's like that. So I'm one of those like hidden message like type vibes, like when it comes to me as a designer. And so that's really like the origins of ROYGBIV, like keeping everything exclusive, but then also from like, that was the dope thing about it. Before even like the celebrities that you see in it now, the hat itself sold out at Wish. Like I remember I made 50 of them, and when it sold out at Wish, I already knew, okay, you got something.
Yeah,
so
people are going to start talking about
it.
Sure.
And so from that point, I remember when I sold my last one, and then this was like before the pop-up was over with, and I kept one for myself, and I had it on during the hat, and during the pop-up, and from the rest of the night, you ain't got no more hats, you ain't got no more hats. I keep seeing everybody with the hats. So I was like, okay, boom. I took 6 months to then perfect it and figure out, okay, how do we maximize this? So from that point, all right, we the color brand, we finna make hella colors. So from that point, colors, okay, we know you might want to teach. It was around like Christmas, Thanksgiving time, like around the same time, right? It's something about this area is like super crazy, right?
I feel like it's also like leading into the new year, so you
Yeah,
get all these
so it's like
live
always like,
creative
and
juices, like,
yeah, and
what am I gonna
one of
do
my
next?
favorite. I mean, if people might call it a mythical creature, but I love the phoenix. Like I'm all about rebirth. I'm all about like rebranding myself. Like that's how I'm able to be a blonde shag and but still be Twon. Like you still getting the essence of Twon. You still getting RGB. I'm able to truly family tree all my brands, right? So that's how I was able to really like push RGB as far as understanding that, like I said, bringing it full circle of, all right, we're gonna start with this accessory to
Yeah.
quote unquote be my fashion business card. And from that, we just led to, like, I've always, like I said, built relationships outside of just this brand, just from keeping a clean face. Just like I said, I've been in these different studio settings where I not only did that play a major part in not only like I guess that trust of like, oh no, I done seen him before, so it's like, yeah, he know what he doing, like
Yeah.
whatever he got going, yeah, let's rock with him. So it's like that's why you see so many of my peers, chanting RGB, and it's like shout out to any and everybody who has worn the brand, because not only am I truly grateful, but that it means a lot to me.
I think it adds to the like you were talking about exclusivity
Yeah.
earlier too, but the level of people that wear your stuff adds to that exclusivity
Right.
as well as like luxury, because
Yeah.
RGB is a streetwear luxury brand, and
Yeah.
essentially luxury is like it's comfortability, but it's also exclusivity as well, because not
Exactly.
everybody is supposed to get it.
And
So,
the thing
yeah.
about it, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just want to piggyback on that, is like, even when it comes down to like, this is my child at the end of the day, so I'm selective of what quote unquote daycare they need to be in. So it's like
Yeah.
when it comes down to the stores, like just choosing like being able to be sold in like the Webster and Fred Siegel and like Wish. Like I was selective of only being in that quote unquote who's who boutique of like, I know whoever grabs this is gonna put it on the right way, where it's gonna
Yeah.
come from a real place of passion and not necessarily, we are in that hype era, but most of those stores is like, you got your high clientele. Like, I could have did the Macy's, I could have did the Nordstrom, but it's like everybody's did that. Like,
Yeah.
let's go where let's take over somebody else's trap. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's go to the special places, and I think that's what also kind of like just being selfish with my brand on that. Is like, no, I don't want it everywhere, because
Yeah.
it's anybody who's watching, they know it's been several DMs where I've had to unfortunately just tell them like, it's just a decline. It's no disrespect to your store, what you got going on. It's just, I want to place this a certain place.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I want people to go look for it. If it's too easy accessible, then you're not gonna really want it.
No, that's facts. And it's easier to spot too.
Yeah,
exclusive.
exactly. Yeah, like let it be in the like in the places where it's like, but even like shout out to like Fred Siegel, because like I said, just being that selective, that's what led me to being able to do the first ever like Black Betty Boop collection. And
Yes,
it's like,
I really wanted to talk about
yeah,
that.
like once again, I'm all about heritage and storytelling, and like I grew up with like 4 aunts, so like I seen all different shades of what a black woman looks like, and not only just all women of color. I didn't want to just necessarily like, of course, like there is the story of, and that's, if of who Betty Boop truly, was inspired by. And I really wanted to just take something that we all could own again. And it's like, I did that collection for us. And, shout out to any and everybody who supported that collection. But in my journey, I want to do meaningful collabs. Like I want to do something that just really not only is Black history, but creates Black history.
What's one brand that you would want to collab with to tell like a part of history?
I wanted to pause just because I have a name and idea, but I think for the most part, I would love to do like a Walmart. Only reason why I say that because once again, territory.
What do you mean by that?
Think about how many Walmart stores there are.
Hundreds.
You know what I'm saying? Now I'm tapping into real deal territory of I'm in your house. Because I ain't say clothes.
You didn't.
I just said I want to work with Walmart. And Walmart Walmart, I could go on some Virgil IKEA vibes. You know what I'm saying? Like where we go on furniture, like I just told you, like that's what I want to do. Like, but at the same time, I'm not afraid to go Walmart with apparel too. But I might go sneaker or boot. I might go work boot. Like I have this story I always tell people. Like I want to be able to go into like a certain chain restaurant and be able to say, hey man, you see all those salt shakers? Yeah, I designed all those, and it's in like
that'd be a major flex.
And it's like just like I said, just something that minute of like salt shakers.
Yeah.
Like it ain't always got to be a T-shirt. And I always tell people like when I see the brands that like the other brands that might want to start a trucking hat business, like it ain't got to be a hat.
Yeah. It's
so much other stuff that you could do that. All you got to do is just do the research of what ain't nobody else doing. At the time, nobody was doing trucker hats. We were still in our fitted cap, snapback, like you got to shout out to people like a Wiz or a Taz Arnold who like the Tisa hats, where it's like they really made snapbacks like in that cushion orange juice era, like that was a certain real streetwear time where it's like if you know.
Facts.
Like I wanted to tap in to be like I want to be able to say I brought such and such back, and it's like I to this day I never truly. Yeah, I mean the people in the street and the people in my DMs they tell me, but I ain't never really had like none of them nobody really say like. But you did your thing with that type vibe, and it's like, and I don't do it for recognition anyway. But at the same time, like people know, like I did a lot of research to like even to the research of like Ralph Lauren is one of my favorite mentors when it comes to fashion. Like I said, I gave that polo analogy, but Ralph Lauren started with selling ties out the trunk of his car. Once again, accessory with no size. That's something I grasp to that. Even I'm going to flip it to something else. Tommy Hilfiger. A lot of people don't know Tommy Hilfiger, when he first started, he used to give all that stuff to the rappers.
I didn't know that.
So why that's a lot of reason why your Wu-Tangs and all them had it on, because shoot, you might have somebody come in the hood and be like, man, y'all just wear this real quick. We out. And it started like that, but it's like same thing with like a Nego. People don't know his recipe is he'll have 100 shirts, 50 of them he giving to his friends, the other 50 he sell. it's
They
little,
getting around,
it's
though.
little stuff like that that if you don't sit and do the research, you're not gonna know how to run your brand.
Yeah.
You cannot sit and on TikTok and Pinterest and think you finna build a brand.
Damn, not too much on Pinterest.
No. Trust me, Pinterest has a lot of inspiration, but you gotta understand it's saturated. You want to go where it's so many other websites that's like a Pinterest that people don't know about. You just gotta go on Google. Hey, what other websites are like Pinterest?
Okay.
It be that little small switch in your brain that get you ahead of the curve, and that's what you want to be focusing on. How do you be ahead of the curve?
Yeah.
How do you be the Kendricks? How do you be the Drakes? How do you be the all the people who like to push the limit, the futures, all the people who like to say, hey, I'm gonna push the needle a little bit. Like I'm gonna do something different. Like that's what it's all about. That's how you, like I said, it's a marathon, but you don't want to be last.
No.
You don't want to drop your baton like that. That's what it's about. You got to make sure you stay sharp. Like make sure your T's is crossed. Make sure your I's is dotted. That's what it's about. And that be the, like a lot of people might think like, man, you might be on Instagram all the time. Like please don't get this. Like I'm giving up my sauce, but like I'm researching, I'm studying, I'm seeing it. That's why I might know what. This was about to happen next. This keep coming up on my feed for a reason. All right, how can we manipulate this? You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it's about. Like
I think you also have to always be like a student of your craft.
yes, like
You can never just like be like, okay.
what did Bruce Lee said? A master must always empty his cup. You can't never think you know it all.
Yeah.
Like I tell people to this day, I can learn from a 3-year-old
Yeah.
if God send that download to that 3-year-old at that time. You got to have an open mind to any and everybody. Like some of the most wisest people of wisdom is someone who you might see homeless, because you got to think about it. Some people choose that life. Some people go through a certain struggle, but at the same time, they're able to still get up every day and figure out how I can get myself out of the situation. So that's a certain wisdom that you got to really, like, that's why you can't, I always tell people, you can't really disregard nobody. You can't judge a book by no cover. You just never know what you might find in that book.
That's wrong.
Think about some of the book that might have the front about to come off, got duct tape on it, might have all the
answers.
all the answers. And you might be like, man, this dirty book, I don't want this. You done missed your blessing, just like that. And so it's like, not to turn this into a preach
You better
theory,
preach.
but when he send it, right? And like I told you, it's like that's one thing that I realized that, man, if I gotta be blind shag to get the word out, I'll do that too.
I think the people will listen.
Oh yeah.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah, they gonna come.
But let's move.
I know we done went to a whole different universe, but
Nah, you hit a lot of points that I already had, so it's cool. But,
right.
let's talk about creative direction
Okay.
and how, like, you in 2022 you assumed creative direction role for Lil Wayne. So first I want to know, what was your initial reaction to that, and what can you say has changed since being in that role, either creatively or personally as well?
So I think definitely, like, if you're a kid, like if you're a late 80s, 90s baby, right? You grew up on Lil Wayne, like Cash Money. Like I remember my aunt, like she went to this Cash Money concert when I was in maybe elementary school, I think it was, like maybe like 5th grade or something like that. And she brought me back this bandana that had like the sparkly Cash Money on it. And I remember going to school the next day having that, and they was like, man, where you get that from? So it's like just like those little stories, and then even like when like we had like what was the station that we had, like we had V103, but before 1079, it was something else. But we had a celebrity game, and I remember like that was the first time I ever met Lil Wayne back in the day, and I was like a kid, and so it was like just to see him growing up, and then once again to be able to have a brand that leads me to a person like a Karen Civil. Shout out Karen Civil, who at the time was managing Wayne. Not only saw something in me that she felt like, hey, I think you should take on this role for Wayne. Like that in itself had me like, for real? Like me, like Twon, you want Twon? And it's like not. I have some of the utmost self confidence with myself, but just sometimes it get God when he do it, like it be surreal. Like boy, you really did what I asked for. Like I slick was like I didn't know if he was gonna do it, but it's like when he do it, like he do it. And I remember at the time I was coming back from Paris. This was the first time I ever went to France, and I always wanted to go to Paris because not only is Antoine is a French name, so I've always had people like, "Wait, you dress like this? You never been to France before? Like what?" So it was like for my birthday, I was like, "Man, I'm going to Paris." So I went, and I remember like it was yesterday coming back. Karen was like, she called me. She was like, "Hey, you busy?" No. I remember she called me in my hotel room, and she was like, "Hey, hey, what you got going on?" Like this right after I had did Fashion Week in New York for the first time, and she was like, "You busy?" I was like, "Nah." She was like, "What you working on?" I was like, just kind of just living off the steam from Fashion Week, and then working on some new vibes. And she was like, "You want to do something for Wayne?" I was like, "What?" She was like, "Yeah, let's knock on out the merch." And I remember that whole 8 hour. I think it was like an 8 hour flight because I found a direct one. I end up doing the whole collection on there.
Wow.
Like it was.
I can
like,
see you like coming back from Paris, like all that
Yeah, because that was the thing. I brought my laptop out there, and I tried doing like little work, like the days out there. Yeah, and because I was out there for a week, and I even did like a day in Amsterdam real quick just to say I went, and so like I got to see so much because I went to this. Shout out to Amsterdam. They had the dopest museum I ever been to in my life. Like I still ain't been right. Just this futuristic stuff that they had out there. But like just seeing then I just literally got on. I was sitting in my seat. I remember I even met like one of the VPs of Snapchat, and he still follows me on Instagram to this day, and like. Is always like just checking for it. But he's like, anytime you come to Paris, like let's have dinner. And it's like just to be able to have that connection as well too. But I just remember sitting there listening to like I went from Carter one all the way to I did all of them. I did all the Carters, and I just literally just like let's just pull stuff from everything, and then it just brought me back to like high school. Just my first car, I remember I had a Ford Contour Silver with 12s in the back, just boom, 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 coming down the block, like just thinking I'm just like him, and like that's the reason why I got tattoos. Like now, just his influence, just to the rap game, and so like just being able to say I did that, and then actually going to like a good couple of stops on the Wayne tour and seeing lines of people buying my art is like
it's surreal.
Wow, like Moni do it type
He
vibe.
will.
That's just my extra motivation, and even before coming here, I'm doing some. He's doing a Christmas concert, the Louisiana Fest. So I just literally turned some stuff in that they just approved. So shout out Wayne again. You'll see some more stuff from me as well too. But definitely, like just being able to say I get a check from Universal Music Group is like fire. I ain't said a verse yet, but it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like I'm getting a dope check from them. So it's like, shout out Universal Music Group too, man. Keep it rolling.
Since assuming that role, like, what can you say? Have you had any challenges creatively? Because I know it's still streetwear in a way, making
Yeah,
like
yeah.
tour merch and stuff. But
I think the only challenge is like, how can I do better than before? Like, but also, you know, I'm such a futurist when it comes to like art that I try to push certain new things for him too because
yeah,
we've watched Wayne grow, so it's like it's certain like mature art or mature fonts that I might try to push on like. And being able to say I did a single cover art for Lil
yeah, I
Wayne
saw that.
also is a vibe too.
Huge flex.
Like something that lives on Apple Music and
Yeah.
Spotify for the rest of my life is like,
That's
wow.
amazing.
Once again, shout out, bro. But at the same time, I'm always just trying to put my stamp of like, dang, I didn't even think about that. Like I always want people to be like, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, good, I did. Like that's my vibe. So I think in closing with that, just um, I mean, I even designed a Randy's Donut ad and donut. Like,
I'm not familiar with Randy's.
so Randy's Donut, if you ever been to LA, the big donut building that's like, if you over it, like make sure you go to the right one. Shout out to the bros whoever's on whatever they own. Like that's like a big landmark for LA, and like in doing that, I actually got to design the donut he had for the Carter tour, and it's like. Whoo, like
That's crazy.
a lot of people don't know too. Like a sidebar, before fashion, I was gonna go to school to be a chef. Like,
Yes, I wanted to
like
talk about that.
that's something in my spare time. Like even but being a vegetarian, like I it's certain dishes that I can make. Like before I stop eating meat, like such a country Southern boy. Like I like your mashed potatoes and gravy with like a country fried steak. So it's like I know how to do that plant based. So it's like I've mastered that. But
Have you cooked with like mushrooms? Like I've been seeing
yeah,
stuff with like the mushroom
I've
steak.
done like I know how to do it with the mushrooms. I know how to do like an impossible or like a beyond, like or all
Tried
those other
spaghetti squash pasta.
I've
That's
I've
amazing.
done it all. Like I've really that's the beauty. That's the like I said, I love a challenge. That's the challenge of being a vegetarian. It's like let's
Yeah.
try something new. Let's figure out how can we manipulate something that
Yeah.
tastes like something that's one of our favorites. So just bringing that full circle of like, well, you're still doing something with the culinary arts,
Yeah.
quote unquote. It's like
Definitely.
that's it. Like I said, won't you do it? And yeah, like it's just a blessing. That's all I can
Definitely.
say.
I can't wait to see how you grow in that role too, and what else
thank
you do for
no,
that.
definitely. And anybody else too who needs work, I'm open. I went to a Prize Pick event and I just ran into Simba, the rapper Simba, and I'm a fan of him too. So I had on some RGB and he kind of stopped me. He was like, man, I love what you got going on. He's like, man, I would love to talk to you about some creative direction. So shout out to him as well too, and definitely, hopefully, we get to work on some stuff in the future as well too.
You will.
Yeah.
Speaking into
Yeah,
existence.
definitely. Yeah.
But let's get into your dream role. I know you spoke about it before, but Mason Margiela, you want to be like creative director.
So I'm on that kind of like punching bag at myself. Like, all right, buddy, 2025 is next month, right? So it's like, what we doing, right? Like, but I had a vision of 2-3 years ago of like being able to do this creative direction role with Mason Margiela, and that's a brand that's not only something dear to my I don't know, it's just a brand that's just the ethos of it's always just resonated with me. I remember when my exit exam in college, we had to do this thing where we had to go to the Goodwill and we had to pick out some pieces and we had to restruct them to modern time. Like it had to be something from a whole different era that we had to make it modern. And if you look at, Margiela, he's all about like reconstructing. How can we take something apart? And even as a kid, I was that kid that took his toys apart just to figure out like how is this Hot Wheels like made? How is this RC car like how does the power do this that? So I took it apart and put it back together. So reconstruction, deconstruction is something that has always been in my design language, and even I'm previewing something new with you guys today, where it's like I'm trying something new, where it's like once again I have these hidden things of like we built the pyramids,
We were just talking about the
right?
pyramids.
And it's like they cut the nose off the Sphinx, right? So it's like this is like some like
Homage.
I'm going back on my ancestral downloads of like it's like a hidden message of like, man, you can cut this off, but we still staying strong type vibe. Like it's no matter what it looks like, it's still the dopest hat
That you
ever seen, right? So it's like that's still the dopest statue that you ever seen to this day. So it's like, I like to go there, like really go there, and so I want those type of people to see it. Like even just with Blonde Shag, what was it last week or no? Last week I got the opportunity to do something with Versace, and I felt like that is like. That it was like a play that God was like, I'm preparing you. Let's see what you're going to do with this, right?
Yep.
And not only did we get to do a partnership with them, but like the whole store, they actually got like the outfit layouts was like my layout. So just to be able to say I got to rebrand, reconstruct Versace in a different light of like not only what I felt like was some Atlanta vibes, but also still like just something new that, Versace is such a heritage brand that like that, a lot of people don't know Tupac was the first not only African American but also rapper model to be on the runway for a high fashion.
I did not know
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. So being approached with that just with Sai, I was like, oh, we got to do this because this not only once again it speaks volumes, but it's nobody else is doing this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like
I like how you also spoke about like when Misha Margiela restructuring and stuff because that kind of goes back to your roots with Antique Society.
Yeah.
It was like avant-garde.
it was avant-garde. So it's like I'm glad I got that out my way now, and I'm able to show that I can go niche, but I also can go general population as well too. Like we can have Banana Republic, but we can also have Gap. Like a lot of people don't know those are sister brands. It's like that's one thing I loved about working for the Gap is like not only did they have that core fan base, but then it's like Banana Republic was that high end, and then Old Navy's your low end, and to have those three tiers, like we take the whole family.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? We take the whole everybody. So it's like just like I said, research, knowing those things. Like the more you know, the better your situation is always going to be. And
Absolutely.
I empower that to just the youth, like. Get off the social media. Like, social media, you can get some jewels off that, but find a book, because I promise you, not everything is on. Like, luckily, by the grace of me, we're putting this on YouTube, so
Definitely.
you got something here. But take whatever you learn from me after this episode and really just dive in. And, I like to sit in a Barnes & Noble and look.
I do too.
You know what I'm saying? Look for stuff that ain't nobody talking about, or that you just like put yourself on game.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to find it from others, because what somebody else might know, that might be part of their journey. But if you're not sitting here and trying to figure out take the time of what you need to know for your journey, you're gonna be running around just with like a chicken with your head. You
Knowledgeless.
know,
Yep.
come on, man. Like, and and I'm in this. My favorite word these days is purpose.
What are you doing it for?
What am I doing this for? Like, so like I said, I know we doing this for a purpose. Like,
Definitely.
God didn't align us for no reason. I think, like I said, once this goes out, when we get them fire clips and sound bites, like it's this finna go up.
Yes, yes.
Not only because of just the set and how like you're dressed so nicely, and it's like I tried to
you.
come, it just flows so well that it's like this ain't nothing but God in this room right now. I feel like personally.
Well, the last question that I wanted to
course.
ask is this talks about it briefly as well,
Yeah.
the future of fashion.
Right.
Because fashion changes every
So
5
much.
to 10 years. I saw you
Yeah.
mention that. So where do you think fashion is going to be in like 5 years? Because I feel like now like we're like repurposing the Y2K era,
Yeah.
bringing back the big jeans or the
Yeah.
big skirts, you know. So what's your take on the future of fashion in the next
Like,
5 years?
so one of my favorite movies that I've been watching lately, just for like some dope inspiration, and it's like a chick flick, but it's a all general joint, but like Clueless.
I love Clueless.
That's like a good that's a
Yeah.
good movie to watch if you want to find like if you want to kind of keep yourself on trend of what's going on in fashion right now.
Yeah.
Clueless, like even for a guy perspective, because we in that like Beverly Hills, like I said, the Jinko jeans,
Yep.
and you might put a Kango hat on it to the back with like a V-neck sweat. Like it's all about those funky colors, but also just dope silhouettes, and that's what I'm a fan of. Period. Like I'm glad I'm seeing the guys and the ladies in the ties. Like I said, like let's put it on, y'all. Like
Put that shit on.
let's put it on for real, to where it's like we look like we got some business about ourselves. Like I told you, I shared that story of like the couple of last flights I was on. I went to the airport in a suit, and when I tell you I got the most respect I've ever received in my life, because it's like everyone from like all ages just like, oh, you look so nice. Oh man, you just look so well put together, to the point where it's like when I get to my seat, they're like, you want extra chips? You want 2 Coca-Colas? Like what you want? Like
Let
so
the
it's like, you know
outfit
what I'm
speak
saying? It's
for
like
you.
people have to understand like yo how you show up is really
That's the first impression.
no,
really.
it's the first impression. It's like you really want to. Anytime you doing anything, and it's like like you said, my first impression with you is like, okay, who is this dude with this wig on? Like,
Literally, I'm like, hey, I like
what you
your
got
outfit.
going on? It's like I love that, because once again, it creates the conversation. Because I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Like, unless you really know me, I'm a real introvert. I really don't unless it's a purpose of not only, all right, I'm going to this setting of knowing that not only I'm gonna see some people that I know, but I might can get the word out or something like that. And let me just go on here and do it, and let's do it in the most fashionable way possible. And I think one thing I would love, even in my journey with fashion, is like I want to bring back just individuality. Like let's stop looking like the mannequin. Let's really say, no, today I wanted to wear some purple socks with some green pants and an orange shirt. Not because I saw it on such and such, because no, this is what exactly made me feel this
good
way.
today.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like one thing that's been helping me out, like I recently just moved into a new crib, and
Congrats.
thank you. And one thing I've been incorporating in the crib, and most people know this now, is like the lifestyle of wabi sabi. And wabi sabi, if you're not familiar with it, it's about decorating your house with not only purposeful things that make you feel a certain type of way, or you might had it for a while, or it, like I said, just once you see it, it just makes you feel a certain type of way. And And that's what I've been like with clothes lately. Like I've been like, man, I want to go back to that. I want to go back to that slacks era. I want to go back to that kid and play house party where they went, or even like a Fresh Prince. Like Will Smith was like one of the freshest dudes
He was.
ever. Like, and when he would do the
Is.
color slacks, like that Boys to Men, like you know, I want to look like I'm a part of a singing group with the tie on and or I might about to tell you a mystery novel, like some Edgar Allan Poe, like Antwerp 6 vibes. Like I want to give that to the game, and it's crazy. I called it last year once when I was doing Blind Shag, because I was looking at a lot of London fashion and I'm like, ooh, I love how they doing these, like, even like my most recent purchase, the Margiela Doc Martens. Like I love how they mixing the trench coat with the tie, and then they might have a hat on, or they might have a blazer, and then they might have the big pants, or they might have suspenders. Like just that real Jimmy.
They look at like real silhouettes over there too, like body stuff. The way they dress is so good.
Yeah, and even too, like just for the ladies too, like when Princess Diana did the biker shorts with the blazer and the cap.
Yeah.
We got to get back to that. Ladies, like, I know y'all love y'all bodysuits. I know y'all love y'all leggings. Ain't nothing wrong with it. But boy, I was telling somebody the other day, you have no idea. The lady who comes in with her own swag gets way more attention than any BBL. I want you to understand this. And we gotta start telling our queens this, that, man, you ain't gotta get all that. Just be you. Find you a muse. Find you your Tracy Ellis Ross. Find your Diana Ross. Find your Minnie Riperton. Like find you somebody that you can be like, man, I love this. Like I'm just stuck in this era. Like I was watching Last Dragon the other day, and I had posted on my Instagram. I said, bro, who gonna be the 2025 Vanity? Like Vanity, who was with Prince, like once again, like on some, we in our own world. I'm in my own.
Zendaya.
Hello. You're right.
It's
You're
Zendaya.
right. You're right. You
Yes.
definitely right. You definitely right. But even then, I feel like I wanted to be a mix of that, but then like she got to have like a little like Nicki Minaj energy with it, to where it's like it ain't got to be the bicep, but just that. Like I love Nicki confidence. Sometimes she can be like, she can be Nicki, but I love she stays true to who her character is.
Definitely.
And I think staying in your character, having your uniform, knowing your silhouette is what is like some of the dopest thing a woman can do. Like to the point where you ain't gotta have eyelashes. You ain't gotta have all that. I know it look cool, it look nice, but man, that little extra fee that you done spent on those for the week, you could have bought that one dope piece.
Facts.
That one Saint Laurent piece that's like your uniform coat, where it's like, forget them eyelashes.
Ain't nobody looking at that.
Ain't nobody.
They looking at
They
that
looking
jacket.
at
They
this,
looking
and
at
it's
them
like and then, or if you got it like that, you can do both. But at the same time, I just think in all genders, we just got to get back to like, man, just wear what makes you feel happy. Like, let's not impress nobody else. Like let's. And I think us guys, we got to start trying to impress the ladies. Like that's what I love about putting a tie on, because sometimes I just feel like sometimes people be like dressing to try to get this, like, oh, you got those such and such dunks. Like, who cares? Like, forget all that like hype shoe stuff. Nah, man, I found these like Bruno Cinelli loafers real quick. This is my vibe. Mm-hmm. Or I'm bringing back Clark Wallabies. I'm on some Wu-Tang, but I'm mixing it with the trench coat, and I'm like that type. Like I said, when you do research, that's how you get to be a blind shag. That's how you get to figure out, man, I like that. Let me try this. Let me see if I can get away with this. 9 times out of 10 I do, but
Because you're like that.
yes, that's like I said, we selling confidence over here, and that's one thing I would love that this interview that people understands and they see with me is like confidence is the sexiest thing that anybody can do, male or female. Knowing who you are is the greatest thing you could do for yourself. Knowing that you can walk in any room and unapologetically be yourself is the best, not only feeling, but it's the best freedom. Like, I want people to know I'm so free.
Just being you.
I'm so free that I have no care in the world. Not like that, but to the point where there's nothing that no one could tell me that could get me out my character.
That's a great way to live. That's good. A lot of people.
You know what I'm saying? Like and it just flow like that. But it's like literally, no pun intended. There's nothing that nobody could say to get me out my character. Like I'm blind shad.
That's funny. Do you have any advice that you can give to the people watching this in the mix?
My advice is run it back, and run it back one more time. But at the same time, also really understand that every word I said today is coming from a place of I want everyone to know if you feel like giving up, man, I felt like that too. But guess what?
You didn't.
We still here.
Yep.
There's a quote my grandmother has said to me since I was a little kid. Can't been dead. And those 3 words is something that I've lived my life. Like, there's nothing that I can't do. Like, for my birthday, what was that last year? I went skydiving, and that was something that truly changed my life to understand that it's really nothing that I can't do. Like, I flew like Superman. Like, or like I'm a big Power Ranger junkie, so it's like the Power Ranger movie when they all jumped out the plane and they came down. It's like I really relive my childhood of I wanted to be like a Power Ranger. Yeah. Like that to this day when it's all said and done and I get to retire, I'm gonna live my life being a Power Ranger somewhere. And I tell any and everybody, like, have those same goals and aspirations of like knowing that like when you know it's all said and done, and you know I like I said, it never stops. But when everyone gets to a certain contentment to where it's like for the next 2 years, I just want to do this.
Yeah.
Especially if you're at a financially stable place. But definitely, just have those goals and those aspirations of, man, I can do anything I want to. And I want everyone to know that from this talk, this lecture, this sit down, this powwow, this tribe meeting, because that's what I want this to be. I want this to be the first tribe meeting for the rest of the world that's coming to come kick it with us. So it's like, that's what I want everyone to take from this is like, be confident, know yourself, and family first too. Like, and family can be anything, but it's like every day isn't promised. So it's like, check on those people in your family that you might ain't heard from in a minute. It's just like, it goes a long way. And friends too. Like, but that's why I say most of my friends are my family. So it's like, check on your family. But yeah.
Thank you so much.
Ah,
that was
thank
great
you.
advice. It was a pleasure having you in the mix
Likewise.
today. To our viewers, thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking with us for 10 episodes so far. I look forward to seeing you on the first episode of season 2.
Yes.
Peace.
Woo, that was fire. I was